From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana, Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. More than 5,000 Israeli soldiers have been wounded during Israel's war on Gaza since October 7th. Specialists from Israel's Ministry of Defense have disclosed their rehabilitation department has been receiving on average 60 wounded soldiers daily. Deputy Director General and head of the ministry's rehabilitation department, Limor Luria, shared concerning statistics with Yediot Ahronot newspaper. He said that at least 2,000 Israeli soldiers have been declared disabled. Health officials are now in a hurry to release the wounded so it can admit new patients. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes on the city of Rafah in southern Gaza have killed at least 24 people, including 7 children and at least 5 women. The health ministry says an Israeli drone attack on Jenin on Tuesday morning killed 4 Palestinians and wounded at least 5 in the occupied West Bank. President Joe Biden said Tuesday that the Israeli government doesn't want a two-state solution. He was speaking to Democratic donors in Washington off camera when he made these remarks. Biden said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needs to change his hardline government. The president warned that support for the country's military campaign is waning amid Israel's heavy bombardment of Gaza. Before the war broke out, Biden had been open in his criticism of Netanyahu's governing coalition, which includes far-right parties. He has also vetoed the UN Security Council's recent call for ceasefire, has shipped arms to Israel, and sent U.S. ships to the area. Palestinian groups and families have raised concerns over the Israeli army's kidnapping of numerous women and girls from Gaza. These detainees have been held without any information regarding their whereabouts or the charges they may be facing. During the Israeli invasion of Gaza, Israeli forces detained hundreds of civilians from their homes, and while they were attempting to flee on a road the army had designated a safe corridor. At a military checkpoint along the road, the women were detained and taken to undisclosed locations. In a joint statement issued with the Palestinian Prisoners Club, the commission expressed deep concern about the horrific crimes allegedly committed against these female prisoners. Hundreds of Harvard University faculty members have signed a petition supporting President Claudine Gay. She recently faced criticism from Zionists for her testimony at a congressional hearing on rising anti-Semitism at the university. The petition emphasizes removing Gay under political pressure would contradict Harvard's dedication to academic freedom. It also urges the university's administrators to safeguard its independence. More than 500 professors have signed the petition delivered to the Harvard Corporation. That is the 13-member body with the authority to remove Gay. However, the Harvard Corporation tweeted that they unanimously stand in support of the president. The University of Pennsylvania president Elizabeth McGill was forced to resign amid similar attacks over her testimony. In related news, 4 Harvard University undergraduates are facing disciplinary proceedings after they supported Palestine Week of Action last month. Campus newspaper The Harvard Crimson reports these hearings could lead to warnings, probations, or even mandatory withdrawals for the students. Harvard says actions impeding normal university activities are deemed unacceptable conduct and subject to appropriate discipline. During the week of action organized by groups supporting Palestine, Kojo Ashiampong, one of the students facing discipline, expressed determination to persist despite what they perceived as an attack on students' rights. In a separate incident, 8 Harvard students associated with Harvard Jews for Palestine also underwent hearings for their participation in a 24-hour occupation of University Hall. The hearings were conducted by the Harvard College Administrative Board. A group of Jewish elders chained themselves to the White House. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. A group of Jewish elders chained themselves to the White House perimeter fence, protesting President Joe Biden's policies on Israel's war on Gaza. About a dozen protesters read aloud the names of those killed in Gaza since October in the war. They also recited a Jewish chant asking their memory to be a blessing after each name was called out. Esther Farmer, a spokesperson for Jewish Elders for Palestinian Freedom, said as Jewish elders, they know what genocide looks like and it is in their memories. Police ultimately broke up the demonstration using bolt cutters to sever the chain. The U.S. has expressed concern over images showing Palestinian men detained in Gaza stripped to their underwear. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says the images were deeply disturbing. He adds that the U.S. needed more information about the nature of the images and why they were made public. Miller claims the U.S. has made it clear to Israel that it must act in full compliance with international humanitarian law. Last week, Israeli media published footage and photos of half-naked people with their eyes blindfolded and hands tied before they were taken away for interrogation. Israeli media claims the photos were of Hamas members who surrendered to the Israeli army. But Hamas has rejected Israel's claims about the surrender of its fighters in Jabalia in northern Gaza. American companies such as Starbucks, McDonald's, Walmart, and Google have faced scrutiny over their stance on Israel and their alleged donations to it. This has led to widespread boycotts by those who oppose the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. Starbucks and McDonald's in particular have experienced significant backlash. Over a period of weeks, the coffee giant's share value decreased by nearly 10% after the hashtag Boycott Starbucks surged in early November. McDonald's faced criticism when an Israeli franchise offered free food to the Israeli military. The company distanced itself and announced a $1 million donation for humanitarian causes. Google initially faced backlash for a reported $1 million donation to Israeli victims of an attack. However, the CEO later announced $8 million in grants for Israeli and Palestinian relief efforts. Walmart has also been under fire. Its foundation pledged $1 million to an Israeli disaster relief organization. After outrage over the one-sided support, it also donated to an aid organization in Gaza, balancing its contributions. Israeli settlers attacked Palestinian olive pickers in the town of Aqraba, south of Nablus in the West Bank. On Monday, they fired live ammunition to intimidate Palestinian farmers and force them to leave their land. Footage released by Yesh Din, an Israeli organization operating in Israel and the West Bank, shows occupiers pillaging Palestinian olive groves in the town of Awarta. According to the NGO, dozens of settlers celebrated the week-long Jewish festival of Hanukkah by looting olive trees belonging to Palestinians. Some occupiers cut down olive trees, while others collected and stole the harvest. Since the beginning of the season in October, Israeli occupation forces and illegal Jewish settlers have carried out 333 attacks on olive pickers. According to the Commission for Settlement and Wall Resistance, occupation forces and settlers prevented citizens from accessing over 300,000 acres of their land. Federal prosecutors have appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court to address Donald Trump's immunity in the 2020 election interference case. Special counsel Jack Smith has asked the court to expedite an appeal currently pending in the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. The appeal aims to determine whether Trump has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions committed while in office. This is a claim that was previously rejected by the district court. Smith has emphasized the case's vital importance to democracy and is urging a swift resolution if immunity claims are denied. The trial, scheduled for March 4th, is on hold pending the appeal. Trump argues that presidential immunity and double jeopardy protect him from prosecution. This is one of 4 criminal cases against the ex-president, totaling 91 federal and state charges. As many as 25 Pakistani soldiers and 27 suspected terrorists were killed in clashes in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's Dera Ismail Khan region on Tuesday. The most devastating attack occurred when a group of 6 alleged terrorists assaulted a security forces checkpost. Additionally, 17 suspected terrorists were killed in a separate intelligence-based operation, and 2 soldiers were killed in a different operation. The Tehreek-e-Jihad Pakistan, affiliated with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, claimed responsibility for the checkpost attack. This marks the highest single-day death toll for the military from terrorist attacks this year. Prime Minister Anwar al-Haq Kakar condemned the attack and affirmed the security forces' resolve remained unshaken. These attacks underscore the increase in terror activities, particularly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan provinces. Anti-state violence has seen a 34% increase recently, with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa being the most affected province. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.